Most dudes want to see something similar to this, big, nice, clear image. I can see everything edge to edge and no scope shadow at all. However, if we back up and create a little bit of scope shadow, not only can we still see what we need to see for that shot, but we get us a black ring that we can use to kind of gauge concentricity of where the reticle in our eyeball is in that glass. We want that ring to be perfectly concentric all the way around. If it's perfectly concentric all the way around, that's an indicator that we are in fact in the eye box where we need to be. And also, what else do we need to see for this shot aside from what we can already see? All right, y'all, so I had the inquiry of, hey Mark, how come your magnifiers aren't all the way back? And also, because they're not all the way back, how do you run your stock out and not collapsed in order to get a full sight picture or a full field of view through the magnifier? The answer is I don't, right? So let's talk about it for a minute. I not only am okay with a little bit of scope shadow on optics that do not have a focal adjustment knob, I actually prefer it. So what's going on here is we've got something in the world called parallax. Basically, if you ain't never experienced parallax, take your forefinger, hide it behind your thumb, move your head about, right? You see how your finger peeks out from each side of your thumb. This is parallax. The target reticle, right, and the target itself, scope reticle and target itself are in alignment, but they're on two separate focal planes with depth separating them. And so based on the eyeball, right, when I shift my head, I see misalignment, so I move the gun to realign. I didn't actually move the gun to realign anything, I moved it off target based on my perception of what I'm seeing. Focal adjustment knobs can mitigate this by taking those two separate planes and putting them on the same focal plane. Now when I move my head, I don't see as much, if any, distortion between the reticle and target alignment. Lower powered variable optics, these are 1 to 4s, 1 to 6s, 1 to 8s, etc. and dot with magnifier don't have focal adjustment knobs. So what we have to do is come up with some sort of method to try to mitigate parallax on our own. Scope shadow is the way that I've found to do this. That's the easiest way that we can do it, right? So what I do is I simply not only accept a little bit of scope shadow, I use it. So instead of having perfect clear edge to edge, sight picture as far as full field of view goes, I'll take a little bit of scope shadow and I want to make that scope shadow concentric around the target. If it's concentric around the target, I know that my eyeball and the aiming reticle is now in the center of the glass. I've mitigated parallax as best I can just utilizing the scope shadow. So don't run away from it. What happens when we start to move our magnifier specifically, and even sometimes our LPVOs, to accommodate full field of view at max magnification, is we start to move them where when they're not deployed or something similar, we're in the way of iron sights, we're in the way of running charging handles from certain sides of the gun, etc., etc. I don't want to do that. I want the gun to work for me. I don't want to have to work around the gun. So not only can I keep an iron sight on this gun, but I also have the magnifier so far forward that I can get to my charging handle no matter what orientation the magnifier is in, and it doesn't bother me at all. I'm using the scope shadow to mitigate parallax. If you don't like this idea because you want to see everything, just ask yourself, man, when the decision to fire on a target has been made, what else do you need to see other than the actual reticle and the target itself, right? I don't know of a context where you need to see 30 feet each direction, like all directions of the target. You might need to see that before the decision has been made to shoot, but once the decision has been made to shoot, the target's clear to shoot at, right? So like, what else do we need to see other than the target and the reticle? If you get comfortable doing this stuff, you'll find that your accuracy percentage at distance will go up, right? Or at least that's what I've found. Sometimes we don't know what we need, we just know what we like, right? So like we're all nasty little toddlers. When my kids were nasty little toddlers, they really thought they needed all the Sour Patch Kids the world could offer them, right? But I, as their father, understood that their little bodies probably don't need that. There might be a better way. And so a lot of times we just don't really know what we don't know. And so if you're a guy that's been, rocking a magnifier all the way back, it's in your way and you're like, not really happy with it, or you've been doing something that looks like this and you're breaking your mount to be able to get a good sight picture through something similar to that, accept the scope shadow and just try it for a while, see what happens, man. Most people, when they throw a magnifier behind a dot, are going to have some sort of zero shift. They typically are not sure what that is. It's either one of two things, man. Either your reticle has not been centered inside the magnifier itself with the turrets that come on the magnifier, or you've got parallax that you're inducing. One of the two is about all it can be. We can take one of those completely out of the equation by actually centering the reticle in the center of the glass based on what we see with a full field of view, and all this with the turrets. we can take the other one out of the equation by accepting a little bit of scope shadow and learning to use that scope shadow as our parallax mitigating tool, right? This is very, very easy as a quick, you know, pre-flight checklist thing to say, okay, is the scope shadow concentric? Yes, it is. Cool, man, send it. So that's what I got on that, man. If you want to know more about that, drop some comments. We'll talk about it a little bit. But essentially, LPVOs, I'm going to set them up forward on the gun where at max magnification I have a little bit of scope shadow, because max magnification is the smallest field of view as far as your eye relief that you'll ever have. If you can see what you need to see at max magnification, you'll be fine at all the other magnifications. So I push them forward, set them at max. I check them from standing, kneeling, sitting, prone, all that kind of jazz. Make sure that I can see what I need to see, and I kind of live life like that. Not once, not ever have I missed a shot and been like, dang it, that dang old scope shadow got me, right? But I absolutely have missed a shot and said, I didn't check my scope shadow before I took that shot. So take that for what it's worth, man. If you try it out, if you ain't never tried it out, if you like it, hold on to it. If you don't, crap can it. You know the gig around here, man. Outside of that, that's what I got for you. Scope shadow is not only okay, it's preferred, right? At least for the way I run these guns. Mark Smith, JBS Training Group, man. Hey, real quick before you leave, shameless plug. November the 12th, Lubbock, Texas, Caprock Rifle Club. Going to be doing the JBS Training Group Performance Out Yonder DMR match. Prize table's loaded with stuff. We got Ridgeline going to be out there buying lunch for everybody. A whole lot of cool dudes are going to be there, man. We got prizes from Leupold, Sons of Liberty Gunworks, Magpul. I mean, it's going to be good. If you want to take rifles and run them at rifle distances, check out the practice score link. I'll throw it in the comments down below. If you don't have practice score, just make an account, man. It's free, and you can check out the match and see if it's something you're interested in. Outside of that, man, see you guys on the range.